Matt, so for you, where did it all start?
The thing is, the lower down you go, the less chance you have of playing in the first team, I felt. So, Harry, for you, where did it all start?
Start because obviously at Grays we had Julian Dix and Kenny Brown.
Hi guys, welcome to Beyond the Tactics episode 1, where myself and Harry will be discussing the Premier League running, relegation, who we think is going to win the league, and La Liga, and then obviously the Champions League's down to the last 4 now. So, Harry, let's start with the Prem. Who's your favourites to win it, do you think?
I think City. I think it'll be an interesting run-in though. I think there'll be points dropped both sides. I look at Man City and I think their spine with Haaland, with Bernardo Silva, Rodri, I think they've got the centre half pairing. The problem they had, I think they've sorted that with Kosanov and Guy. I think Semenyo been a great signing. I think they will just get over the line. I don't think it will be. I think it'll still go down to the wire. I think there'll be some upsets along the way. I think there'll be some funny results. I can feel it, but I fancy City.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this time of year, I think for Arsenal, it's more they've not done it for so many years.
Yeah, the pressure.
So they're putting the pressure back on Arteta, and obviously he's not won a trophy for so long. They're in the last 4 of the Champions League. Is that going to be a little bit too much? And I don't know. Like, obviously, I know they've got a couple of easy games coming up, but I think they've moved the Burnley game.
Yeah.
I think Burnley was going to be the last game of the season, but I think they've moved that, and now I think it's Palace away or something like that.
I see the West Ham result being a big factor. I think going away to West Ham could be a tough game for them.
Yeah.
I think obviously West Ham are fighting for their lives, so at home against Arsenal, the stadium would be bouncing. I think that's gonna have a little effect on the running. I also see City dropping points. I even think away at Everton's a tough game for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's every game in the Prem is obviously tough, but I think City, they've got the know-how, and obviously Pep's just the driving factor.
I just think this time of year they always come good.
Yeah.
And they know they come good this time of year. But I think this time round they've left themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I think they've shocked. I think they've shocked themselves, and I think they've shocked everyone this year. I don't think anyone see it with them. I think the signings in Jan were so important.
Yeah.
And the importance of them hitting the ground running, the 2 signings in Jan, which they have, has changed the team quite quickly. And then now you're looking at Foden and people like that not getting in because of Semenyo's form. Doku's at a real good patch of form. So yeah, look at Church, he's been amazing. So yeah, I think City will just creep over the line. It's a good interesting running, and it's a shame there's not other teams around it pushing them. But yeah, I think it's one for Arsenal. They need to go over the line, whatever happens. You can feel it now in all their games. They seem to have that little bit of pressure and nerves, and I think once they get that first and second, they seem to comfortably win games. But the longer games go on, you can just feel it. Even when you watch it on the TV, the pressure in the stadium.
It was the Bournemouth game for me.
It's like, and
when they went 1-0 down and they were like getting on them a little bit, and
you can feel it.
Yeah,
you can feel it, definitely.
I think it's interesting though with Pep that he knew obviously centre half was a problem. He didn't go into Europe. No. He stayed within the Prem and knew that he could get a guy. Knew he could get Semenyo, and who is a proven Prem player, and knew that. And I think that's just his knowledge of going into it, rather than going into Spain and taking that risk. He couldn't take a risk.
I think if that's the summer, I think he goes abroad and he finds the little gems he finds that no one really takes the chance on. But I think in January he knew what the club needed, and I think it needed 2 players who were doing it in the Prem, and they both were doing it, and they haven't had that time where they've got to settle in. They just come in and he just throws you in. He throws you in the deep end, and both of them are swimming and flying. So they've hit the ground running. There's a big change of how the running looked, and they've not looked back, them two.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting now. Obviously, I know you've got United in 3rd and then Villa, but because England have been given that extra place as well, and then there was talk that if Villa come in the top 5 and win the Europa League, 6th place gets Champions League.
Yeah.
So like for Chelsea now, I think Chelsea are 8th.
Yeah.
You've got Brighton in there, you've got Bournemouth in there, you've got I think there's like 4 points separating 6, 7 teams.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be
I think the
interesting running.
The crop above Arsenal and City are all pretty much at the same level, aren't they? So I think you'll see that change, but I think you'll see like them teams you're talking about all sitting in European spaces. I don't think Brighton will break in. I think Chelsea will hold their nerve. I know they haven't been great, but I think they'll hold their nerve. They'll steady it a little bit. Even though the manager seems to have done well, even with his first stint, and I think they'll steady the nerve and get into Europe. It
was a weird one with Senior though for me because you've come from Strasbourg. Obviously, he's been at Derby, and like we've spoken to people, and they've said he's an unbelievable coach. But I just think putting him in that position and like, whereas this guy now who's in, they all seem to like fight for him and work for him. Like obviously got a result at City away when he went in, and then got him in the FA Cup final. So it'd be interesting to see how they do last 4 games.
I think the media also was on the hunt for Rosenior. I think, and some of the first sort of press conferences, I think he's obviously killed himself a little bit, but I think the media were on him, and I think it never looked like it got off the ground. Even when they was getting results, you always felt they were a couple of results away from him being under pressure, didn't you? You just felt the job was maybe too big at the wrong time. Yeah,
and then obviously the relegation. Yeah. It's an interesting one because a mate of mine's a Leeds fan, and obviously he goes watching Leeds here in the supporters club, and he said that 5 weeks ago he said we're done.
Yeah.
And they've won 4 of the last 5, and I think they're pretty much safe after that. After that win at the weekend,
it's gonna be probably the biggest, one of the biggest sort of relegation battles in Premier League history. 2 massive clubs who both can't afford to go down into the champ. So I just don't know if Tottenham have got the firepower in the front line. West Ham are still scoring goals. Spurs just seem to really struggle. I think the move for De Zerbi was the right move, 100%. I think he's a top coach, and I think long term he could get it right there. I just worry with their injuries they've got and the confidence in some of the front men. I don't see them winning football games. I think West Ham will do a job in a couple of games where you don't expect them. I don't see Spurs getting a shock result anywhere. I can't see it because they're even struggling in games they should just cruise to victory.
Yeah, the Wolves one was an interesting one.
Yeah, the unexpected result was with Spurs. I don't see where that comes. Villa away is so tough.
Yeah,
I don't see it there. So unfortunately, look, my majority of my family are Spurs fans and won't like me to say it, but I'm now looking at it, and like you said with Leeds and Forest, they've sort of they're away from the pack. It looks like Spurs could go, and it'd be a massive shock if they do.
I just think as well, like I know the fans have sort of said like in previous years, we're a top 4 club with this. They won the Europa League and obviously sacked Ange after it, but I just think they've just not got recruitment right, and like they've not replaced Kane. As soon as Kane went, they didn't really replace him with a calibre of player like him. I know it's hard to replace.
Yeah, I think they've always struggled in terms of recruitment, in terms of like even when you look back to getting the recruitment right after the Bow sell, they never really done that, and then haven't done the same with Kane, which is obviously not easy. They're 2 superstars, so but I don't think they've recruited too bad in terms of like I think Kudus is a good player, Maddison a good player. I just think they seem to have so many injuries. Like their whole front line's different if everyone's fit.
Yeah.
With the boy from Kulusevski, Maddison, Kudus. Their whole front line's completely different, and the boys that are playing now don't play. Like and you probably go over Solanke as your 9, and then them 3 boys around him. You've got decent Prem players in that, and boys who all score goals. And they've just lost
in Jan though, when you I think they sort of knew they were going to be in that situation. Didn't you go and get someone?
Yeah, 100%.
I think you have to go and get a player you know is going to get 10, 15 proven goal scorer.
That's Solanke. I think they thought that with him. He's almost, and you look at Calvert-Lewin on the other side. They're the sort of the same buy for Leeds and Spurs, and you think Solanke will do all right at Spurs. He'll chip in, and it just hasn't worked. And football's crazy. If you even look at United last year in the position they finished and now where they are,
Yeah.
If Spurs get away with this, it wouldn't surprise me if you see Spurs back in the top half of the table next year.
Oh, yeah.
That's how quick it can change, and the scare might push the owners to be that little bit more ambitious. But yeah, they've got to fight West Ham and Spurs for the next sort of 6 weeks or whatever they may be.
The thing is as well, it's one of them that both stadiums are pretty new.
Yeah.
Like the West Ham one's 2-3 years old.
Yeah.
The Spurs one, and then potentially I know from League One, Lincoln and Cardiff have gone up.
Yeah.
But teams like them
they're going to Spurs, it's going to be.
Yeah.
It'll be some
story,
it,
weren't they, Lincoln? When
it'll be some story. It will be some story.
Yeah.
But be interesting. I fancy City, and unfortunately I think Spurs will just
slip.
Yeah, which is crazy to even
2
say.
points in it at the moment.
Yeah, it's crazy to say, but I just don't see where their goals come from.
Yeah. La Liga, obviously, our favourite team, Barca.
Yeah.
They've run away with it, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think they only need one more win and then...
Yeah, so they're 14 points clear now.
Yeah.
Obviously, Madrid go away to Espanyol, which is a tough place, and Barca will be hoping that their neighbours Espanyol will do them a favour. But yeah, I mean, it's a strange one with Barca because obviously we both watch them religiously, and they're in the league. They're so good, and in the Champions League they come under a lot of scrutiny, obviously with their high line, and they get punished a lot. Barca have always been naive, even under Pep, even like going back they've always been naive to the defensive side of the game, and they've always just been, how many you score, we'll score more. That's just the way they are. And this year, I think Flick's been exceptional. I think they're probably a signing or two away from competing with maybe like your PSGs, and I think they need to get the 9 position right. I think Lewandowski sort of maybe run his course. His legs are. I
saw he was going to America, I think it is. He might be going.
Yeah, so I think they need to get that position right. Really important. I mean, there's talk of Alvarez going there from Atletico. It'd be an unbelievable signing. And I think, again, they probably need another centre-half to help the young lad Kubasi. So if they can get them 2 positions right, their midfield, De Jong, Pedri, and them boys are just on another planet. They're so good. And then, obviously, Yamal, Rafinha, they're just animals.
Yeah.
I think Rashford stepped in and done well. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him. And then you look at Madrid, it's a strange one. I think the problem with Madrid is they're just reliant and heavy on so many individuals, and they don't seem to have a philosophy that they sort of can dive into when things are going wrong. When you look at Barca and they have a few bad results, they stick to what they know and what they believe in. Madrid don't. Madrid seem to vary into different, like even when you look at appointments of managers, like they're now saying Mourinho.
I was just going to say that about Xavi Alonso. Then, like, obviously they were like singing his praises when he went there for what he did at Bayern Leverkusen, and then he does 6 months, 7 months. They get a few bad results, and
then you go on the other end of the spectrum and going to Mourinho. It's like, again, I'll say it's exactly the same what's happened at United and Man United over the recent years. Like, you're recruiting, and then your management is shifting from Amorim to someone, like, it's so far apart.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to get it right. So they need to almost stick with what they see of philosophy for the club to be built around, and recruit managers that they can come in and oppose that. I think it's hard at Madrid because there's so many egos. I think Vinicius and Mbappe, you can tell maybe they're tougher to tactically get right than maybe like the boys at Barca. Like Rafinha just seems to buy into. But then again, I think that's the culture. I think they're bought into. They know where they're going. They're going to Barca. They know the philosophy. They know the culture, and they're going to buy into that, and they get it right. Whereas Madrid, you go in there as a Galactico. You don't know what you're buying into. You don't know what the philosophy is going to be. It can change every 6 months. But yeah, I mean, they've had a good couple of results, obviously, in the Champions League this year, and they always seem to do. Even the one against City, it didn't seem coming.
I definitely didn't see the City one coming. No. I was just going to say that then. I thought them going there, I thought they'd be overrun, overpowered.
Yeah.
But I think obviously people who like watching Madrid and that, I think they've just had a lot of injuries. And I think for them this year, it's
how many ACLs they've seemed to have had in the back line. Don't stop.
Yeah.
which is strange to see.
Like the young boy Militao has hardly played in the last 2-3 years.
I think they need a little bit of an overhaul, definitely in the defensive areas, because they're like Alaba and people like that now. Yeah.
Rudiger's getting on a bit.
Yeah, they'll move them on. Carvalho seems to have had another problem with his knee, so he'll probably move on. Probably his last year, so they're gonna look to recruit heavy, and they always seem to go and buy.
I think the maddest stat for me, it was during the PSG game, which we'll touch on in a minute, but I think Barca have conceded the second most goals in the champs. Like I think it's behind Club Brugge or something like that, and it's like we see the high line and but he's that set in his ways, and he thinks that like that's the way to go, and fair play to him. But it's always going to come unstuck. Like you watch the Newcastle game against them, and Elanga got in twice, and he just carries on playing it.
Yeah, he must have some nerves flick, because even when I'm watching them, I'm thinking they just look to get so exposed all the time. I mean, we talk about it all the time. I mean, both teams to score when Barca are playing is the ultimate banger.
Like printing money, innit?
It's they just concede chance after chance. Yeah. They get away with it, but then they just go and create. They I don't think he's going to change, and he's just been given a new deal. So for them, they almost need like a Hakimi, or like someone who can just run that way. And but he just seems to be so aggressive. But the thing they're lacking is a little bit of pace in the back line. I think if he can, Cancelo's come in and been brilliant. But I think they need to get some real pace in their back line, because I think when Eric Garcia plays, and they just look a bit fragile. Buzzing for Barca.
I think the last one for us, I think it was the PSG game midweek, and comparing that to the Arsenal game the day after, it was like, and I know we spoke about it as well, and we said that make sure you make the most of this game, because tomorrow's game is going to be like 0-0 till 40 minutes, which it was, to be fair as well. Yeah. But I think the PSG, I think the winner's coming from that side.
Yeah, I do. Look, Arsenal on their day, if they can flip it back to being a bit like shackles off, which will be very tough for them in a Champions League final if they get there. I think they'll feel the pressure. Could be different if the Premier League sort of wraps up. If the Premier League's wrapped up for Arsenal, and I don't know, a couple of results go against City, and Arsenal do get over the line in the Prem, and then like it's almost like a free hit to Champs. But if the Prem's coming down to the wire, and then like Champs becomes something that they like, that only trophy they can get their hands on, I think the pressure will be too much. And I think PSG and Bayern are on a different level. They're just that game, that first half was like, that and the World Cup final, Argentina-France, 245 minutes where you just cannot take your eyes off it. Like, you can't take your eyes off it. And we're lucky here because it's 11 o'clock at night, so it's just no one around you, and you can actually watch a game of football. But like, that was just the standard of, and like there weren't even no defensive real mistakes, like goalkeeping mistakes, centre halves. It was just like the level of Elise and some of the wingers, and just unbelievable standard. Like
if you look at Neuer, I think like they were slowing down the replay of the Georgian boy's goal. And he's come inside, and as soon as he hits it, Neuer knows he's done.
It almost starts it outside the post. Unbelievable finish.
But it was like, when I was watching it though, when PSG went 5-2 up, I thought, what's the response going to be from Bayern then? Yeah. And then it's all to play for now at the Allianz. Yeah,
so. They're just, I think they only play one way, them two, and like people were saying, oh, would it have been different if this was the final? No way. They were just they're all high, front foot, aggressive, the way they press, the intensity on the ball. I mean, Hakimi and Mendes were almost on a top line the whole game. Like, just like they want to get him behind the opposite fullback. I love Enrique. Top manager. Seems like an unbelievable person just through his interviews, and great manager. I think he's got a real good sort of core in that side, a great spine, and then just like a lot of youth. But it seems to be like a lot of youth that have played a lot of football, like Vitinha, Neves, like they've all, Hakimi, like been around it, Madrid and these places. Seems to have got a group that's young, energetic, but played a lot of football and experienced. And it's an interesting one because I can't remember. I think it was Arteta the other day. He said the standard of that game is because of their schedules. Which is a good point because Bayern and PSG. I know PSG. I don't know if it was before the Bayern game, but maybe the one before. Give PSG the week off in the Liga and stuff like that. They moved a couple of fixtures around.
I don't know.
So it's a good point. I think the Prem's so draining, where them leagues may not be for them, and they can afford to rest players. So yeah, that was an interesting point, and I thought, I mean, I'm not Arteta's biggest fan. Seems to try and moan quite a bit, but I think that's a fair point. It probably is a good point because then the standard of some of the English teams in the Champs has been poor this year, and the schedules may be a part of that.
Yeah, I think the going back to the Arsenal game with Atletico, it sort of met, like the first half was a weird half. Obviously, you go into Atletico. Barca went there in the previous round, and the crowd are up, Simeone's up, everyone's like all up for it. First half, it seemed like a friendly.
I think they just, like we spoke about it, we just like thought they were going to come out and be absolutely all over them, but they sort of shown them too much respect in the first 35, 40 minutes. And didn't really lay a glove on them, which was strange because I thought it'd been, Simeone gets and the crowd gets there. I thought it'd have been in their faces, a lot of fouls, going to press high, because I think that was the only way to win the tie, was in the first 45 minutes there, because they could have really put pressure on Arsenal. Even if you get hurt the other way, I still think if you keep putting pressure on them in the mood they're in, Arsenal at the minute, I think you could have nicked the ball high and got results and got rewards, but they just stayed off. And then in the second half, you see the difference.
It was a massive difference.
It was like they was like almost, you got 45 minutes to save the tie. They've gone out and got after them, and they looked a better side, and they had a lot of chances.
I think in terms for the tie as well, like from a spectator's point of view, I think the goal Arsenal scored before half time, because it would have been interesting if that's 0-0 at half time. Would Simeone have done the same?
Yeah.
But going in at 1-0 down,
he almost had to.
He almost had to because he had nothing to lose. But the Lookman chance and then Griezmann at the bar, like when you look back on it, Arsenal take that.
100%.
But then I just think that's a mistake made by Atletico.
I agree. It was almost like, when you watch boxing and you think he's only started in round 6, like why didn't he get out and get after him early in the early rounds? It was like that. It sort of like started so late, had such a hill to climb. Arsenal still looked dangerous in the game. I know there was a couple of dubious decisions, but I fancy Arsenal now to go through, unless there's a shock there. I don't see it. And then I think it's a tough one for PSG. I think it's all about their approach. I don't think, if they don't change their approach, I think they've got a chance, but it's going to be a real tough one, because if they do change their approach, the stadium might eat them up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Kompany's sort of built into his role now at Bayern, and he's almost like furniture there, and won the league, and he's done really well.
He has done really well. He probably shocked a lot of people. I remember obviously when he got the job, it was like off the merit of what, and everyone was saying, why has he got the job at Bayern and stuff. But he's took them to another level. They've been really good. Diaz looks back to his best.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Elise, for me, is like, when I watch him, I just see like Yamal in him. He's just like gliding past people, like effortlessly, like can't get near him. Yeah. He looks so good at the minute. And obviously Kane is just always a threat. He just needs one chance, one goal, doesn't he? And he links the play so well with them. They've almost got that sort of that Liverpool feel, haven't they? Like with Firmino, with Kane, but obviously Kane's much more of a dangerous striker, but seems to link in. You've got Diaz going in behind, Elise to feet, can get at you. The only thing for me is their back lines is not the best, and
the right back he's not.
No, they chop and change with him. He plays in midfield a lot. The young boy.
They put Lima there sometimes, don't they? And then
so that'd be an interesting one, and I'm looking forward to that. That'd be But yeah, I see, like you said, I think the winner comes from that tie for sure.
I was talking to someone the other day, and obviously they're a Chelsea fan. They hate Arsenal, and they were saying that like they hope that Arsenal don't get into it because anything could happen in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's one of them with Arteta that he could actually go to a final against Bayern or PSG.
But only takes
of course it does,
a red card or something early, and it completely changes everything. Yeah, if you're in the Champions League final, anything can happen, and Arsenal will 100% take that. And they've had an easy draw, and I think they will get there. I think they'll get through this tie, and then, like you said, anything can happen. But I'd if I was a betting man, I'd back PSG or Bayern to go and win it.
Yeah. Right, guys. So that's it for us today on episode 1. Hope you've really enjoyed, obviously, our insight into it. Feel free to reach out to us, and if there's any topics that you want us to discuss, we're more than happy to do that. Next week will be our first guest, so not going to give too much away. But
special guest.
Yeah, is a friend of ours, and that's all I'm going to say for now. So tune in. We might just drop a few hints throughout the week, and we'll see you all soon, guys.
Thank you.